I'd love to understand from your perspective, working with a myriad of government agencies on their data-driven ambitions. First, how do you define a data-driven government, and what do you think are key components of becoming data-driven in the public sector?
So that's a really interesting question to unpack. And I think the first thing to start off with is, every organization has some aspect is going to be data driven. Even the ones that aren't on the bleeding edge of AI and machine learning, data drives the mission and drives the enterprise, whether it's logistics management or the VA doing, servicing the veteran. Data is at the heart. We may call it different things, enterprise business intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, but data is as at the heart of a lot of what any large organization does. What you'll find across the U.S. government, and really it would be the same on any government, is that in order to provide citizen services or national defense or policy, it's all going to be driven by data. And the effectiveness of a given organization is how well they're leveraging that data. And so maybe the one way to look at it is which ones are being driven by the data or which ones are driving the data, and sort of which side of the equation do you find them on? You'll find a lot of organizations are drowning in data that they can't consume fast enough or they don't know how to take full advantage of. And then you have others that are sort of driving towards, how do I leverage this data that we have access to affect mission, to do better citizen service, reduce time to response. And so you'll find, as you would in any organizations, sort of that whole chasm of sort of from the laggards to the leaders. But I think at its core, most of the U.S. government has recognized that data is a central component to affecting the mission and driving the scale that they have. The challenge that you have in public sector is that the data scales are much larger than you would find in most organizations. The sheer volume of data that they're dealing with, whether that be, sort of a tax, the IRS dealing with tax information, the VA, which is one of the world's largest healthcare providers, the sheer numbers that we're talking about makes it a much bigger problem. But fundamentally, it's the same problem you'd find in an insurance company or a hospital, just with bigger scales.